Academy Award-winning actor George Chakiris.
It's so incredible to see you. You know, tonight with what's going on, I thought, who's going to show up? Well, thank you for showing up, because I know, you will be sorry. I don't mean about me, but I mean about the movie. Okay, I was asked to introduce the movie. I've never done that before, so I wasn't quite sure how to do it. So I thought what I would do, and I hope I don't take too much time doing it, I thought I'd explain to how I became involved in this movie to begin with. So I've written it all here to be finished. Okay. I've been working in Hollywood starting about 1952. Yeah. That was when I took my first ballet class at the American School of Dance. And I worked as a chorus dancer in several movie musicals, White Christmas and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. One of my friends is to be able to say, I was one of the guys behind Marilyn Monroe in that number. So, by about 1957, here in Los Angeles, work for dancers was kind of drying up. So I decided I should go, where else? To New York. I bought a one-way ticket, and two friends of mine had already made the move, and they put me up on the couch in their living room so I had a place to stay. Okay. And also one of them worked for Roger L. Stevens, a really hugely important theater producer, and they knew everything that was going on about West Side Story. It was just coming, West Side Story was just coming up to its first year anniversary, so there were the, let's see. So they were in the midst of finding a replacement for the show and casting the London production. So I was told to go to the Winter Garden Theater where West Side Story was playing and to ask for the stage manager, Ruth Mitchell, who later became Hal Prince's associate producer. She was great. And the first person I saw at the stage door was Howard Jeffrey. Howard had been a star pupil at the American School of Dance and already made the move to New York and was a soloist for the ballet theater, and was now assisting Jerry Robbins. So he had made great progress. But so the first one I saw was somebody I knew, and that was great. Howard George, you know, and it was really a nice way to be introduced, so to speak. So, and so she set up, she gave me a script, and she set up a time for me to meet and audition for Jerry Robbins, who was working on Ballets USA at the time at the Alvin Theater. So I got to meet Jerry. I didn't know anything about Jerry Robbins. I'd never heard his name. I was a West Coast dancer. I knew nothing about New York. So, but I didn't need to go. It didn't matter as long as I got the audition for him. So I met him during his lunch break, and he was out in the house, and he came up, and the thing I remember about Jerry, and I saw it so many times, he had the most beautiful, gracious, welcoming smile. He was just, I mean, he should have done smile commercials. So, there am I. So I read the part of Bernardo, and then Jerry asked me to take about 20 minutes or so and look at the role of Riff. So I did what I was told, and then I read Riff. And he then asked me to look at Cool. In the theater version, Cool is sung by Riff. In the film version, it's sung by a character called Ice, incredibly played by Tucker Smith. And he's amazing in that number. It's an amazing number. But Tucker is just phenomenal. Anyway, so I had to learn Cool because in the theater version, it's Riff who sings Cool. So I came back to audition again for Jerry, this time singing Cool, and that was that. So I went back to the apartment, and time started to go by, of course. I didn't hear anything, and finally, on my birthday, September 16, 1958, I got a call from Ruth Mitchell telling me I had the role of Riff in the London company, and I had 7 checks from my California unemployment, $35 each. That was a great birthday. Okay, so then the rehearsal started. We rehearsed at the Winter Garden Theater. And on the first day, Jerry gathered everyone in a semicircle on the stage, and he said, we have 3 weeks to learn this, and I want the Sharks over there and the Jets over there. I don't want any of you socializing during breaks, during lunch, and not even when the theater renovation day is over. No socializing. And that was a really great thing that he suggested, by the way, because that was his first direction to build up the tension that needs to exist between these two gangs, and that was a really good way to have a start. And at that time there was a book called The Shook Up Generation about street gangs. Jerry told everyone to get a copy, and this was the beginning, just the beginning of his very intense and in-depth direction. He wanted to create the tension, I know I've said that already, that exists between the two gangs, and he wanted us to use our imaginations and bring something to the proceedings. You know, not just be told what to do, but to think of what to do. Okay, Jerry Robbins was a perfectionist. I mean, he was a perfectionist. With himself first, and anything less than the best is just really unacceptable to him. He can't handle it. Less is just like poison to him. It must be daunting to be the artist who seeks and needs perfection and who places that burden on himself. I've always thought about that about him. And that's who he was as an artist. West Side Story was his idea. It started first in his extraordinary imagination. It is his creation. Subsequent productions have all drawn on and have hugely benefited from his imagination. I did the show in London playing Riff for 18 months, and after about a year and a half, we started hearing rumors about a film. We heard names like Elizabeth Taylor and Elvis Presley, so none of us ever thought in our wildest dreams, really, that we could possibly be involved. So speaking for myself, I never thought about it. And one day, about 4 of us in the London company got letters from United Artists saying we would be tested. My letter asked me to do a scene as Riff and a scene as Bernardo, and I remember thinking, I love playing Riff, and I didn't want to play Bernardo. I mean, it's funny how arrogant you get at that age. I don't want to play Bernardo. That went through my mind. So we were all driven to Elstree Studios outside London for our respective tests. It was an incredible day for all of us. And after the test, we were driven back to the theater for our performances that evening. It had been an amazing day. Then the weeks started to go by. We passed each other in the hallways. Have you heard anything? Nobody heard anything. So we just kept in for show every night. And then finally, after about 5 or 6 weeks, we all kind of collectively thought, well, that's that, you know. And then one night before the show, there was a call at the stage door phone. I have a tiny dressing room with no phone, so I was called to the stage door to speak on the phone. It was Jerry Robbins, and he said, we'd like your test, but we'd like to test you further. Do you think you get a week's leave of absence from the show to fly to Los Angeles and do a test? Well, here we go again. And it's funny how these things happen, but I immediately thought, no one's going to stop me from doing this. If somebody said you can't go, I would have been on a plane anyway. You know? But anyway, I didn't have to do that. The company was great, and they gave me a week's leave of absence. hadn't seen anybody, family or neighbors for over a year and a half. So it was a great week. I got to see my parents. My father picked me up at the airport. He drove me to the studio to meet Bob Wise and to see Jerry again. So in that week, I met Bob Wise for the first time. I think that was on a Tuesday, and on the Thursday of that week, I did the test, and it was a test as Bernardo. And it was a scene with Anita, and Anita, the girl who did the scene with me, was a girl, his name was Barbara Luna. Beautiful, beautiful girl, and she had the most wonderful confidence. I just noticed that about her. She was so wonderful in this role, and I thought, you know, I think she's a hot contender for this role. It didn't happen, but she was really good. I flew back to London to resume my role as Riff in the theater. It all felt so incredible. It really just felt so amazing. And it was great, really great, to be on stage again. Just, you know, theater. Theater is such an extraordinary experience, that in itself. And it was great to be back on stage again. And again, the weeks started to go by, and after about 12 weeks, I got a really nice letter from Bob Wise. He basically said, we're sorry to keep you waiting so long, but we feel we cannot cast the role of Bernardo until we cast the role of Maria, of his sister. It made sense to me, so I just had to keep waiting, you know. And then finally, maybe a couple of weeks after I got that letter, I did get a telegram telling me I had the role of Bernardo in the film, and Maria, Natalie Wood, was cast shortly thereafter. So, and I was told to ask for a 10-week leave of absence to be able to work on this movie. I was gone for 8 months, and 8 great months. And by the way, rehearsals had already started before I even got there to start myself. And the last day of my filming for me, there was still another 2 months of work to be done on the film. So really it was about a year from beginning of rehearsal to the last day of pencil photography that it took to make this movie. Post-production, of course, was much more after that. But so I go back to London again, and I'm back playing Riff in the theater, loving every second of it. And again, it was just so fantastic to be in the theater. I love the theater. Okay. Working on the film was, I've written this down, but it's true. A real labor of love, you know, for everyone. We really cared deeply about the piece and our individual participations in it. And the atmosphere of the dance hall set was a vibrant force of really just such creative energy, love, and fun. And it was so passionate, beautiful. We filmed at what was called Golden Studios, right now it's owned Oprah Winfrey Net Studios. Everyone, let's see, everyone, okay. Well, anyway, it was infectious. The word was out around town about this movie. And people from other productions in town were coming to visit and watch this group of young kids who were so in love with what they were doing. And one visitor I remember was Angie Dickinson. Oh boy, she was filming Real Bravo with John Wayne and Dean Martin at the time, and she came to our set in her costume, wearing her costume for that movie. And you know, she's got a gorgeous face, but she has the most beautiful legs. she's perfect. And I couldn't help but notice that even then. And one day during our break in the rehearsal, I was standing outside the soundstage with some of the kids, and standing nearby were 2 gentlemen from the front office, I assumed, and I heard one of them say, we don't know if we'll have a commercial success, but we feel we might have an artistic success. And that in a nutshell describes how everyone involved felt about this theater, and everyone on that lot felt about this. Everybody felt it. It was pervasive and a dense of love and excitement because nothing like it had ever happened before. So that's how I got involved, and thank God I got to be part of this movie, to work with Jerry and all these great people. I mean, there's sometimes in our lives when something really good happens, and for me this was, of course, one of them, or the one. But and then the other thing I thought, and I wanted to say, one of the things that has always been important to me, but is somehow more important to me now, and that is, I really do want audiences in general to understand and realize and appreciate who created West Side Story. It was Jerry Robbins, and then he worked with Arthur Lawrence, Stephen Sondheim, and Leonard Bernstein. And over a period of time, it took them a while to work on this piece. There were times when they couldn't get together to work because they were each working on other pieces at the same time. So it was not just months, it was years of preparation before it opened in the theater in 1957. And my good friend Chief Rivera was Anita, and that was another experience, I'll tell you. She was the toast of London, as she deserved to be. And by the way, I have not seen the Sondheim film yet. I haven't seen it, so I can't say anything about it, or probably shouldn't say, but anyway, I haven't seen it. But so because of things I hear in general, that's one of the reasons. You know, I really feel that credit where credit is due is really a really strong statement and an important one, and that's why I wanted to go back and reiterate and remind people. I'm sure you don't really need reminding, but of who created this piece. Mm-hmm. Who did it? It was those four guys. It was those four guys, and they created, I guess you could say, a template for anyone else who wants to mess around with it at all, but some other template to work from. So all the work that has been done by them is a great, incredible asset to anybody who wants to do something more. I think you know what I'm trying to say. But I really do believe that, and I believe that in all fairness, in fairness. By the way, a couple of days ago, on looking at the computer, I suddenly got this wonderful thing of the new cast and Rita talking amongst each other about the experiences, and I loved hearing their passion, how much they loved doing what they felt the same things. We all felt the same thing, and it was so nice to hear them, of course, say the same thing using slightly different words, but it doesn't matter because it's all about West Side Story. And by the way, more than a few times I've seen some theater productions of West Side. I've seen a few in Japan with American casts, and they're fantastic. But whenever I got to go backstage to a performance of West Side Story and meet the cast, it was so wonderful because we all knew each other. We'd never met, but we knew each other because we shared this experience. And there's such beauty in that because we felt each other. So I guess that's about to get to be here, how lucky am I to get to be here with you tonight after all this time and still have fun with you. Everyone had the courage to come out, and me too. So there we are. That's an introduction, and so let's. Now we'll see the movie.
The movie now